Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a review on the Bayoneta polyurethane and latex boxing gloves. So check it out. Hey guys, Carlo here. Today I'm doing a review on the Bayoneta made in Mexico polyurethane and latex boxing gloves. I got mine in this beautiful metallic blue, gold, and white colorway, 16 ounces and lace up. You can also get this particular model and a Velcro closure as well in multiple different sizes as well as colorways. Now there is a caveat to that, and that is this is like a lot of the other smaller Mexican made boutique brands. These gloves are made in small batches. They're not like the larger brands like Rival, Tidal, Ringside that carry a stock colorway and multiple different sizes as well as closures. So those are always readily available and you really don't have to worry about them running out or not being able to get the colorway that you like. Now with these Mexican made brands like Bayoneta, obviously New Sporting, Classics, Zeppol, I mean there's so many out there now. If you see a colorway that you like and they have the size that you like as well as the closure, I always tell people you might as well pull the trigger, and the reason being is you don't know when you might see that same colorway and size again that you like, if ever, unless you get them custom made to your specs. And when they make these gloves, they make them in a few different sizes in this particular colorway. And again, it's very seasonal. So you might not see that again for a very long time, or they might really re-release that same colorway very shortly afterwards. You don't know, you're kind of rolling the dice. So I always tell people if they have the one that you really like, you might as well pull the trigger, because once they sell out, you might not see it again. And I know a lot of people regret that. They're like, damn, I should have bought those gloves. They had that color I really wanted. The size was perfect and I just didn't pull the trigger, and it's been 6 months now and they haven't had that same colorway or size for a very long time. So now I'm gonna have to get them custom made and wait even longer. So that's kind of the caveat with buying these smaller boutique Mexican brands. The plus side to that is you're getting a product that not a lot of other people, if anybody, is gonna have the same colorway. You'll go to the gym and I guarantee you almost 99.9% of the time, you probably won't run into somebody with the same gloves as you. So there's pros and cons to that. Now the glove is made of 100% genuine cowhide leather, handmade in Mexico. Bayoneta is the brand from Edgar, the boxing collector. If you're not familiar with Edgar, he has an amazing store, website. Make sure you go check it out. I'll put the link in the description box. And he specializes in selling Mexican-made, only Mexican-made boxing gear. So obviously gloves, headgear, groin protectors, hand wraps. He also has other merchandise. Make sure you check him out, but he has some really cool products. And it's always awesome doing business with Edgar. So from a design standpoint, for a 16-ounce glove, this is very similar in size, both in terms of height and width, to like the Zeppol gloves. To me, Mexican gloves are very rugged feeling. They like to have that longer cuff on them. Typically the hand pocket, the hand compartments are usually a little bit on the roomier side. And that's just kind of the traditional way that these Mexican gloves are manufactured. Now, the leather on here is beautiful. It has that blue metallic shine to it. It looks really good. A nice texture. It feels very durable and very thick. Probably 1.4, 1.5 millimeter thick cowhide leather. On the back of the glove, you also have the double cuff on the back of the wrist support that says Bayoneta, made in Mexico, with the Mexican flag colors, the green, white, and red. So you have that on there. I do wish the patch had kind of some type of like cover over it or something to where it was embedded in the leather, so you don't have like these little loose edges on it. I feel like for a glove of this caliber, that the patch to me should be done a little bit cleaner. And the other thing I noticed too is you see how it kind of like sits in this where they stitch in the wrist padding. You might, to me, if you're going to do that, you might as well just kind of cut this portion off and just make the patch a little bit smaller, just so it sits on this lower padding portion, rather than it just kind of bleeding up into this upper portion, then you stitch into it. I just think that would look a little bit cleaner in my opinion. I do have white piping at the bottom. You have a nice smooth satin liner on the inside. There's also the 16-ounce weight tag right here at the bottom of the piping. You have traditional long flat white laces with plastic tips at the end. They're long enough to where you get a good amount of rotation around to lock your wrist in. You do have the B that has the integrated bayonet or Bayoneta in it. So it's kind of a cool logo because it has a dual purpose to it. The letter B with the bayonet on the middle. You have a lot of wrist support with this glove. You're looking at about an inch on the back of the wrist and about an inch on the inside of the wrist. Medium density padding. So there's definitely an emphasis on wrist support with this glove. You can see that you have that thick padding all the way to right about this section right here, as well as it tapers off to a point underneath the thumb piping on this side. And then you have this beautiful metallic gold leather on the palm side. On the thumb, you do have it segmented into 3 colors, the white, the blue, and the gold. So you have that. Another thing you'll notice too with a lot of Mexican gloves, you do have the reinforced welted seams throughout. So on the edges, between the wrist where it connects from the bottom support to the upper portion of the glove, all the outside edges, you do have the welted seams, as well as on the thumb that comes all the way through there. You do have a really nice large grip bar that's very firm. That's kind of a Mexican glove staple as well. You never find a Mexican glove that kind of limps out on the grip bar. They really put that nice, solid, pronounced grip bar right there. You do have a leather attached thumb at the very top and welted seams on there as well. And again, this is a long glove. So for those of you that prefer the longer cuff and kind of that traditional Mexican cut of a glove, then this one definitely would be pretty suitable for yourself if you're looking for that. Also, you do have that metallic on the thumb and a couple of ventilated holes on the inner thumb as well. Quality wise, there's a couple small issues with this glove. The first is going to be something that we all know when it comes to Mexican gloves, is the gloves are overweight. Now, these gloves are advertised as 16 ounces. The Bayoneta premium gloves, which I did a review on, which I prefer over these, are more on point with weight. With these ones, they're overweight. I believe the right glove, since they're 16 ounce, was at like 17. I want to say they were 17.1, and the left glove was like almost at, I think, 18 ounces, I want to say. It was either 16.8 ounces and 17.1 or 17.1 and 17.8 ounces. Either way, they're about an ounce to an ounce and a half overweight. Again, I'm not really shocked by that just because I'm so used to these gloves being overweight. And for a training glove, to be honest with you, it doesn't bother me. Now, as far as the metallic goes, it's held up very well. There was one small area here. I'm not sure how that happened during my training, but maybe I was maybe parrying a punch or something. But you can see it has a little bit of a nick on the inside right here of the metallic. I'm not sure how that happened. It's more cosmetic than anything. And that's really the two areas, was just the weight and this little nick. And you'll also notice that the welted seams here, right here at this fingertip, could be cleaner. You can see it's kind of cut in the middle and looks a little bit jagged. So it would have been nice to see the welted seams just be a little bit on the cleaner side. But everything else looks really solid. The stitching looks good, especially where the thumb meets the index finger. You know, the leather throughout the glove looks really clean. The outside edges, the glove is very well balanced, especially for being a heavy glove. You can see, I mean, I'm literally just grabbing the glove at the back cuff, and it's not sagging at all. It's solid and rigid all the way through the entire glove. So very well balanced, and a lot of that has to do with just this wrist support being structured the way it is. You can see the stitching on the palm looks really clean. Laces are fine. Inside liner, no issues with any kind of tears or rips on the inside liner. Piping at the bottom looks good. Again, I'm not a big fan of how they stitched in this. To me, you should just make this pouch smaller rather than kind of stitching into it. The back looks really good there. And overall, just very solid craftsmanship and construction stitching. And those are really just my two complaints, was the weight and that small nick right there. The other glove looks perfect as well. Comfort-wise, sliding your hand into the glove, first thing you'll notice, the liner is very, very comfortable. It doesn't have that rough canvas liner that you find on some other Mexican gloves. You will notice that the glove is definitely on the longer side. You can see how far it comes down onto my forearm. But the wrist support feels amazing. You really feel like your wrist is locked in. Thumb position is perfect on this glove. You can see that when I make a fist, it pulls down on the thumb just a little bit right there. But thankfully the thumb is large enough for my finger, and again, it has a larger pocket that it doesn't affect the tip of my thumb because it's on the larger side. So in terms of it pushing down on the tip, I don't have any issues with that, but it is definitely a larger thumb, meaning that I can definitely feel a little bit of room between the back of my finger as well as the inside of the actual padding. The finger compartment, I wish was a little bit deeper. I feel it's a little bit on the shallow side. You can feel the grip bar, and there's a really hard secondary grip bar. It feels almost like a piece of like rolled up leather where the stitching is at, and they put almost like a small piece of like canvas or felt over that, and you can really get a nice, really solid grip in there. I just wish it was a little bit on the deeper side when it came to the finger compartment. But in terms of like the width, it's not too narrow and it's not too wide. It's not like super roomy like the Casanova gloves where you just feel like there's this huge void in your hand, even with your hand wraps on. So in terms of comfort, I feel like the gloves are very comfortable. The only thing is going to be just the depth of this finger compartment. I wish it was a little bit deeper. Protection and performance. Now, this glove is the polyurethane latex version, meaning that they use two types of foams. Now, the inner foam that butts up against your hand is going to be the polyurethane. The latex is what they use on the actual strike surface on the exterior side. So basically, if you were to look at this opened up, you would see the latex on the outside, and then it would be polyurethane up against it. That's what's going to go up against your hand. And what I really like about that is that polyurethane gives you a level of comfort. So the polyurethane is definitely softer and is not as like rigid as the latex. So in terms of like the comfort of your hands sitting in the glove, it's definitely more comfortable. And then the latex is obviously what's going to give you kind of that shock absorption and ultimately the protection of your hand. When you push down on the foam on here, I'd say that it's kind of right in the middle. It's not like super soft and broken in, but it's not ultra stiff either. It's kind of right in the middle. It feels like a medium density foam sponge. And you can definitely tell when you compress down into it that it compresses nicely. You can feel that latex. But it has a little bit of softness to it as well. So to me, this is really good. It's balanced. If you want more of that balanced Mexican style boxing glove, you don't want like a full-on Mexican puncher's glove, then this would be it. It gives you a little bit of a different sensation than the premium gloves, which I prefer. The premium uses horsehair. I want to say horsehair polyurethane or horsehair latex and EVA. I like that combination more than this one, but this one's good as well. This one gives you a good amount of feedback and pop. It's definitely more protective than gloves that are just flat out latex or even horsehair. So feels really good, and overall I feel like it's really well balanced. It takes a little bit of time to break in as well. Forgot to mention that, you know, with any of these leather gloves, especially the Mexican made leather gloves, once you start using the glove, you start sweating in them. The more you do mitt work, hit that heavy bag, it's really gonna loosen up that glove, especially in the strike area, both in terms of the leather softening up and the foam on the inside kind of breaking in and breaking down over time. If you had any kind of gloves for a long time, I've had my Sawboss Pro Series. I mean, those are completely annihilated and destroyed, but literally the foam on the inside, there's nothing left. It's like basically broken apart. So if you punch through, you can literally just feel your knuckle go right through the glove. But basically, you know, after a couple of weeks of really using the gloves, you'll start to notice that it'll be a lot more malleable, and it'll take the shape of your hand, and that's definitely the case with this glove. Cost-wise, these gloves, last time I checked, I believe these were at a $254 or $258, correct me if I'm wrong. I'll put the link for the gloves in the description box. Although this blue and gold may not be available anymore. I think they actually sold out of this colorway, but there are other colors. Again, it's kind of one of those things where it's seasonal. You might not have this same colorway for a very long time. So again, like I mentioned before, if you're gonna get it, you have to make sure you pull the trigger on it and not wait, because you might not see that glove again. But I'll put a link to a similar glove like this one in the description box, and then you guys can see that and make your comparisons. But you know, at that price point, I definitely think the glove is comparable to, I would say, something like the Gills in terms of just the size and how the glove feels. I'd say that the inside liner and the inside foam is a little bit more comfortable than those. I feel like if I'm gonna spend the $250-ish, I would honestly go with the Bayoneta Premiums. Now those are in the $300 range, but I just love the way those gloves feel. They feel more softer, they feel more broken in. I love the feedback from the foam a lot more than this version. These are solid gloves, don't get me wrong, but if I'm in that much already, I'll probably jump up to the premium versions just because I just like them that much more. So a really solid glove at the price point. I think the big issue now is that there's so many other brands that have, or should I say, so many other Mexican boutique brands out there that it's kind of making it harder to choose which one you want to go with, because everybody has their own personal preference. I mean, I can recommend this to one person and another that may love them, and then somebody else might get these and just hate them. So it's really hard to say, but I can definitely say for sure the premium versions are better than these in my opinion. It just depends on what you're looking for, but overall, a very solid glove. So if you guys have any questions or comments, as usual, put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Bayoneta polyurethane and latex boxing gloves. See you guys later. Peace.